South Africa. It's a bright, colourful melting pot with a cuisine that's evolved through centuries. So what would you expect to find when a South African chef brings his immense knowledge of food here to South Australia?
Adelaide foodies would know Duncan Welgemood from Bistro Dom, and he's also spent time in the kitchen of Heston Blumenthal's Fat Duck and restaurant Gordon Ramsay. But it's his new venture, Africola, that's got everyone talking.
Basically, the name comes from our business partner, James Brown, designer extraordinaire. It comes from a documentary called Rumble in the Jungle, the famous fight between George Foreman and Muhammad Ali. And Africola were the main sponsors. And we thought, well, we have to use it in a bricks and mortar premises.
I was lucky enough to travel to South Africa for the first time last year, and I was blown away by how good the food culture was. For someone that's never tried it before, how would you describe South African cuisine?
It's a food that takes a lot of influence from different cultures. So Indian, Malay, Portuguese, Dutch, and also the 12 indigenous tribes. So the philosophy of Africola is basically projecting my South Africa, or my Africa, essentially, on the plate. It's contemporary African food, and when people think of African food, it's always seen in a kind of suburban, light, home cooking. What we want to do is clean it up and throw all our skills at it, basically. My dad was a chef, and he passed away 6 years ago. From my Michelin training, I kind of rebelled because this is his sort of food, and I always dismissed it. This is more like an ode to him and to his legacy as a chef, really.
Two things I've noticed about Africola straight away are that you cook over fire and that you break down your own animals. Tell me about that.
Well, I think it's very important that we break down our own animals because it shows that we have a connection to the producer. It also educates our younger chefs. So many chefs order their meats cryovac in a box, all pre-portioned, and they don't really get that this comes from a living, breathing thing. And also, it's about respecting the whole animal.
There's a real buzz to this place, and some little touches make all the difference. It's much more than a meal. This is an experience.
You can't walk in here and not notice the secret sauces on all the tables.
So the sauce is, it's called Mpumalanga Fire, and it's my mother's recipe. It's basically the lifeblood of the restaurant. It means so much to me. No one knows the recipe but myself, but yeah, it basically seasons all the dishes across the board.
And the sauce isn't the only thing that's hot. Africola is the perfect addition to our booming food scene.
South Australian cuisine, I reckon, it is actually a lot more dynamic than the other states because instead of following trends here, we do have a real close connection with, winemakers, artists, producers, and we all use each other to get our message or products across.
When you first walk in, the bar is a bit of a showpiece of the restaurant.
It is. It's almost like a museum of curiosities, which is curated by Andrew Cameron, who's our resident barman slash molecular biologist slash scientist slash madman. We certainly stocked a lot of things that you just don't find anywhere.
When you dine here, you are guaranteed to be impressed, whether it's your cocktail has been lit on fire, or if you order 24 hours in advance, you can get a whole cow's head served like it would be to a Zulu king.
Africola's momentum, I suppose, is out of control at the moment because we are doing something that no one else is doing in the world. We're taking a cuisine that has been dismissed by everyone and we're cleaning it up and we're throwing our little touches on it. And also we've created something that is fun, that is accessible and edgy, really, and honest.
Well, what a brilliant night to remember, and yours will be too because Africola opens only for dinner, and I would recommend that you book. Now, don't forget, if you like to keep up to date with Adelaide's newest and best restaurants, you'll find them showcased in the food and wine pages of SA Life magazine every month.